Hi, hello. It's that time again. Every year, we do the same thing. As kids, my mother always told me that if ever there's a fire, the only thing we need to bring is one bag. Actually, one bag doesn't matter. So mine particularly is black and nothing else. So ever since then, I kept a bag for myself. Just as you can see, I'm pretty heavy. My bag is actually, really heavy. So you're asking what's inside the bag? Well, it's mostly legal documents like, birth certificate, passport, diploma, school transcript, and whatever you can think that's actually harder to get or to replace. It's all what's in there. So every time if there's a fire, God forbid, all I need to do is just take this one bag. It's we could put those things in a safe, but sometimes it depends on what kind of safe you have. So in my case, I am more at ease to have it in one bag. So whenever there's a fire, emergencies, all I have to do is just take this one bag. Actually, there was an incident when I was in Germany and my daughter was only 6 years old at that time. No, literally, she was only not 6, but 5. So while we were on base and the housing on base, a fire broke out. So, with at 8 in the morning, so it was a Saturday morning, 8, everyone was still asleep, but the apartment beside me, just, the alarm just went off and it woke everyone in the whole block. So my daughter, or I think at that time, I think her bedroom was near where, where the kitchen is on the other side. So walk up, and as soon as or we're shouting, and I said, "Hey, come on, let's go!" And then as soon as I was about to to head to door, my daughter just reminded me that, "Mama, what about our bag?" So it actually she actually remembered. So every year around January, I also update my file. So what I meant by a file is that I have a file every year, which is basically an update of my, insurances. It's like life insurance, retirement insurance, and all sorts that you get it renewed each year. This is actually for my kids. So in case I'm doing this, just in case, well, God forbid, I will be in coma or my death, as morbid as it sound to somebody. That's what, when I was talking about this to a friend of mine, a colleague at work, and she thought that it was so morbid. And I said, no, it isn't. So for me, I had been doing this every year, especially now that I have 2 kids. So what I do is I kept this file, a separate file inside this bag. So, and there is always a note. I always write a note in there, what's, to summarize what's in there. It's all to highlight, highlight everything. It was, where how could, the name of the insurances, in case emergency, who to call, and where to go get it. So I'm doing this for my kids, so that, who knows, we don't really know so what's going to happen. So I want to make sure that they are well taken care of, especially when at times of grief. So people I have heard and I know personally other people that just pass on, you know, without even, they just think that, it could never happen. And then one day they're just all gone, and the people that left behind didn't really know what to do, what she had or what he got. So all of the stuff. So I want to eliminate that problem for my daughter. So I'm here overseas and I don't have family near me. So basically I am my own person. My family is mostly somewhere around the world, scattered all over. So every time I do this, it's just, I always do a debrief or, briefing, what I call it, with my daughter. Another thing is also the matter with the bank. So I really thought that, just like in the Philippines, that, whoever your next of kin, that your any money that you have in your bank account, it will be, automatically go to them. But when I called the bank just to make sure, they actually told me, somewhat, it's not really true. Well, for I don't know if it's the same like everywhere else, but my bank told me that in order for my kids to get whatever money I have in the bank without any problems, or it will not go through an estate probate. I think that's what it calls here. I'm not really quite sure if that's the correct term. They told me that I need to do it, to put their names on my account under POD. So POD is basically meant payment on death. So when I'm dead, the money will automatically go to my kids. So so there's no question asked, as long as they are on the, on my beneficiary as a, under POD. So it doesn't matter. My son is only 5 right now, so it will be since he also have an account, so it will go directly to his bank account, and without any, they don't need, he doesn't need a trustee, or that somebody will go through it. So I specifically asked them what will happen to it, and they said, well, as long as your kids name are in the POD list that you signed, so there should be no problem with it. So they won't go through any difficulties at all, in claiming whatever what's left in there. So that's the same thing as putting, updating your. Okay, so we're talking about property. So when I talked to the lawyer, he suggested that I have to, execute a will, just saying that, specifying which property goes to which person. So in my case, I asked him that how how does it work, and he said, well, it depends where you live, or it depends where the property is located. So in my case, since it's mostly in in the Philippines. So that is the better way to, you know, to have a will drafted, and then to have it, just to make sure that to update it once in a while, if it's still, you know, if there's an addition, or in any case, if you want to remove someone from your will, then it has to be, you know, legal and binding, and, you know, valid, to avoid any dramas, issues later on, especially when dealing with, you know, if you have small children, then that will be a perfect idea. So that's that. And you know, as I am very, what do you call it, anxious person, so in certain ways I would like to make sure that my kids are taken care of, to that, you know, one day, who knows, well, our, you know, we don't really know when are we going to leave this earth, that at least I could, you know, lessen their burdens, you know, their grief and sorrows. And especially, you know, on that folder too, all I just said, that in the note that I told you, that you know, I wrote a note in there too, the summary, that I always put at the end, that to make sure to get copies of my, okay, death certificate. That's the one thing that you really need. There are documents, there are, you know, there are certain, well, I don't know, establishments, offices that, you know, that needs proof. So that's proof. So I always put a file for me and for my kids that's on that file. Every year I added into it. So in that file, aside from the other things, documents that I have, it always includes, since I have 2 kids, I made 2 files with all the documents pertaining to me. One day, if they need it, you know, like birth certificate, you know, what else that, you know, that they might need, or certain, you know, certain password, you know, username, especially in this digital age, make sure that to make a copy, hard copy, digital copy, and just one more, you have to find a very trustworthy person that you can leave a copy to, aside from the copy that you got, that you're giving to your family. There should, to your kids, so what I mean by family is just kids, you know, your daughter or your son, there should always be one copy that's being, you know, that's being kept by somebody else, you know, because sometimes, you know, life happens, you know, there's fire, you will lose the, you know, the only copy you got. And those digital, I can tell you that digital copies are, I actually kept a thumb drive. So I have a thumb drive. I scanned everything that I got. So especially those, you know, those titles, property titles you got, you know, just scan them, scan them. Everything that you think that's, you know, right now that doesn't seem necessary or, you know, unimportant, I don't care. I scanned all of them, all my IDs. It doesn't matter if it's current, doesn't matter if it's already expired, you know, I still keep them. You know, it's just logical. For me, I want to keep it and not need it, and need it and not have it. So that's just, you know, well, one thing, one of those OCD people, you know, this all overthinkers. Well, I am one of those overthinkers that I can't even sleep at night if I hear dripping. Got a drip of water, will just tick me off. I will never sleep until I find it and then, you know, fix it. Well, I guess that's all I think I can think of. So you know what? Sometimes I will find, you know, I will always find ways to, you know, to think of something else. But I guess there are always ways, just like you. I don't know if I don't know if there's another people just like me. Well, paranoid it is. So well, I was, you know, when you are used to being vigilant around you, and now I guess, you know, this all, you know, things that's going on right now, you know, you hear people just dropped, you know, dropped dead or didn't wake up and all stuff. You know, it's for me, it's you know, it is what it is. Personally, I shouldn't be even alive by now, you know, but by the grace of God, you know, He gave me a second chance. So right now, I'm trying to make the best I can, and I hope you do too. Bye.